I think we've become way too cozy with politicians if we want to maintain that badge of being a comedian. I think politicians should be like, I don't know if I want to do the comedy podcast. And I think it's become a little too much like, you got to get on Rogan. I wouldn't talk to Theo Vaughn or I wouldn't talk to Joe Rogan. I don't need to. It's not necessarily even I wouldn't talk to them, but I mean, like, the truth is, like, I don't respect them. And especially if I don't respect their stand-up comedy, then I go, well, what do I even care? I certainly don't respect you as a piercing journalist. So if I don't even like your stand-up, then whatever.
Yeah,
you're not a peer.
You know, people give Hinchcliffe a hard time. I love him because he's been good to me. Like,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
But if you watch that special,
I haven't watched the special, but
I dare you.
But I've done, you know what?
I dare you.
I've done Kill Tony enough times where I watch his brain. He's as fast as anybody.
Jim, I can't. Jim,
I'm telling you, when you watch him on Kill Tony, he's lightning
Jim,
fast.
I watched the whole special. You watched the whole special.
No. I'm talking about Kill Tony. I didn't
I
watch the
know.
special.
I know.
Okay.
I know. Jim, you can't just like everybody.
Gianmarco Soresi went on Jim Norton Can't Save You and just absolutely lit into Joe Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe, and the entire Kill Tony cinematic universe, while Norton sat there trying to play Switzerland the whole time. Really quickly on who this guy is in case you don't know, Gianmarco's a New York comic, grinding since 2016, dropped a special on YouTube last year, and had a pretty solid year overall. He's doing pretty well career-wise. So Gianmarco is not the first comedian to publicly shame the Rogansphere. Mark Maron and Anthony Jeselnik have been down this path already. They've also been famous for a while now and don't really have anything left to lose. Gianmarco is still in his 30s, still building, but he just doesn't really seem to care enough to hold back. So Gianmarco's on Norton's show, and Norton spends half the episode doing this thing where every single Rogan crew controversy gets the exact same response. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, it's just a taste thing, let's not fight about it. But Gianmarco doesn't let him get away with that. At one point, he basically tells Norton straight to his face that if he doesn't respect somebody's comedy, he doesn't respect them, period.
Schultz and I once talked at the Cellar once, and it was fine. There was no resolution to it. And then, like, I don't know, I wouldn't talk to Theo Vaughn or I wouldn't talk to Joe Rogan. I don't need to.
Would you not talk to them just because of their politics, or have you heard things about them that you like? I don't like this guy.
No. It's not necessarily even I wouldn't talk to them, but I mean, like, the truth is, like, I don't respect them, and especially if I don't respect their stand-up comedy, then I go, well, what do I even care? I certainly don't respect you as a piercing journalist. So if I don't even like your stand-up, then whatever.
Yeah,
you're not a peer.
Stand-up is a taste thing. So anyone who doesn't like stand-up, but do you
Taste
not
the thing? But I respect. I can respect someone who I hate if they're a great comic. I believe in the integrity of my comedic taste.
But do you not respect Rogan and Theo, at least for like Theo gave a funny Trump interview. Like, he gave the most different Trump interview that anyone has done, and he was totally himself.
Then Gianmarco goes for the argument that when tens of millions of people are treating your off-the-cuff opinions like medical advice because you're in good shape, that's a problem, whether you meant it or not. And Norton kind of, sort of agrees, and then in the same breath defends a guy named Nick Shirley, saying real journalists get held to a different standard than podcasters do, which... Sure, yes. Except Nick Shirley calls himself a journalist too.
I just think if you're going like for medical advice, those people who do,
right,
that's crazy.
I wouldn't go to
me.
any podcaster for medical advice, but Bill Gates gives a lot of advice about health and COVID vaccine. And I'm not against COVID,
sure.
But I'm saying, like, is he more qualified to talk about it than Joe, who's in good shape? Like, you know, look at Bill Gates. He's just a fucking... You know what I mean? Like, who are we listening to?
Yeah, but we should have some qualifications. The more complicated a subject is, when it comes to science, I'm terrible at science. But the more complicated it is, the easier it is for someone to claim all knowledge and bamboozle people and confuse people. So yeah, Joe Rogan's healthy. I know a lot of healthy people that don't know a fucking thing about science.
But
if he wants to get a degree in something, sure.
I don't think you need a degree to discuss something. If anyone puts you as a comedian, as an expert in something, and not just an opinion they're hearing, that's on that person. He's a comedian and he has a podcast, and that really is all it is. And he's just doing his job.
There's a lot of conjectures.
I also don't think that a podcaster's job is to ask the questions that a news like, people hate Nick Shirley when he's literally doing something that the news should be doing.
Uh-huh.
and they hate him for it. So, like, I think the media has a different responsibility than podcasters do.
I hear you.
I think so. And I like Nick Shirley. I do. I get quite a kick out of him.
But the part of Gianmarco's argument that lands the hardest is what these podcasts have turned into. The types of guests that are on and the treatment that they're getting.
I think we've become way too cozy with politicians if we want to maintain that badge of being a comedian. I think politicians should be like, I don't know if I want to do the comedy podcast. And I think it's become a little too much like, you got to get on Rogan. You should be scared to go on a comedian's podcast if you're a politician or a pope. They got Barry Weiss, who's practically owned by the Ellisons and whatever. And now Joe Rogan keeps having on people that are more sympathetic to that worldview. So it's not that they're necessarily fracturing a belief in a media system. It's creating like a kind of more skewed new version that everyone's listening to.
Well, Rogan did ask Kamala, and he offered her any time.
That's fine.
She turned it down.
That's fine, but he's having on like the Sam Altmans and the Mark Zuckerbergs and some billionaire people and the Elon Musks that I'm like, this is not shaking up the paradigm. This is bolstering the richest people there is.
But they're also interesting people to hear talk. Like when we all have a choice when we hear somebody talk. Do I believe this or do I not believe this? And I don't think for other people. So if Kamala had done his show, maybe I would have liked her more. Maybe I wouldn't have liked her more. Podcasters are all individual kind of solo contractors. None of them are institutions.
Of course, but that's why I think when they had Trump on, I said, come on, you're not going to ask a question about the poem to Epstein. You're not going to ask any. You're not going to ruffle some feathers here. There's so many things to ask Trump about. If you're an independent contractor, I'm going to hold you to your own standards. I can't. There's not even like an owner to blame. I can look at you in the eye and go, what the come on.
Rogan built his whole podcast career on being the one guy who wasn't controlled by anybody, the anti-establishment podcast. And take a look at his guest list lately and tell me that still tracks. Sam Altman's been on, Zuckerberg came on in January of 2025, days after Meta gutted its fact-checking program. Elon's been there so many times I've literally lost count. And it's not just Rogan doing this. Theo Von, who Norton name checks as one of the good ones, had Trump on his show back in August of 2024, set up personally by UFC's Dana White, because apparently Baron Trump is a big fan of Theo Von's podcast. True story. And then they spent a chunk of the episode talking about blow. And this is the actual media landscape that we're currently living in. And Gianmarco's whole point is that treating it like it's normal is the problem. And forgetting about politics for 1 second, is any of this shit even funny? Because that's Gianmarco's real thesis. Not that these guys lean right, that they're just not good. And the politics is a convenient distraction from that. Exhibit A, Tony Hinchcliffe. His solo special, Man of the People, was called by a reviewer the worst special I've ever seen, and I've watched Gringo Papi. And another one, Tony to comedy is what Trump is to the economy. And Norton, who admits he hasn't even watched Tony's special, defends him anyway, says his brain is, quote, as fast as anybody on Kill Tony. And I really do think he said he hadn't watched it to avoid talking about how shitty it was.
I also think a lot of these people... Not to be. Sometimes I think good art reflects good thoughts, and I think sometimes these people I go, oh, this is why the stand-up is not great either.
Look, there's plenty of stand-up I don't like as well. And what are good thoughts? I mean, look, there's egregiously bad thoughts, but I mean, what is
who
a good
don't you
thought?
Like?
That's a good question. I really don't want, and I'm not being evasive. I don't really watch stand-up. I don't care about it. I don't want to ever pick up a joke. Like I love Joe. I like Theo. People give Hinchcliffe a hard time. I love him because he's been good to me. Like,
sure.
You know what I mean?
But if you watch that special,
I haven't watched the special, but
I dare you.
But I've done, you know what?
I dare you.
I've done Kill Tony enough times where I watch his brain. He's fucking as fast as anybody.
Jim, I can't. Jim,
I'm telling you, when you watch him on Kill Tony, he's lightning fast.
Jim, I watched the whole special. You watched the whole special.
No. I'm talking about Kill Tony. I
know.
Okay.
I know. Jim, you can't just like everybody.
But I don't.
I don't buy it.
I don't like everybody.
You have too good of taste.
I like Tony very much. I love Joe. They've been friends for Joe's been a friend for 30 years.
Yeah, I don't need you to bad with your friends. I'm just saying, like, there's things you like and you don't like.
Yeah, but who don't I like? The two people I don't like are for not necessarily performance reasons, and it's really the only reason I'm not mentioning the guy who is because somebody broke his confidence by telling me what he was saying.
I get that. No, I get that. I'm more just like, who do you really respect? I mean, I get your peer. You have a great class.
And I all the podcasters I know, and they've all been pretty good to me. I mean, I kind of judge people how they treat me.
Yeah, I get that. I know that.
The ones that treat me well and say they'll have me on or will come on, great. Like, that's what you do. But the ones who lie, I don't like.
But either way, Gianmarco isn't just some guy piling on to Joe Rogan because it's trendy right now. Half of comedy's already doing that. It's basically its own subgenre at this point. What makes this specific clash actually worth your time is that he did it to a guy who's supposedly his peer on that guy's own show and backed it up with two things that are genuinely hard to argue with. The specials aren't funny, and the anti-establishment brand is currently bankrolling some of the most establishment people alive on planet Earth. Jim Norton does what Jim Norton always does. Tried to stay likable, stay diplomatic, refused all the way to the end to actually pick a side, and somewhere between the Epstein files and defending Hinchcliffe, the whole everybody's entitled to their opinion bit just stopped landing.